name is Aditya Madan, and today I will be presenting my survey report on the topic decentralized internet. So, for all those who have already watched the TV series Silicon Valley, they may already be knowing what the crux of decentralized internet is. So, if you haven't watched that TV series already, I definitely recommend you. So, before entering into the seminar, let's see what are the topics that we will be covering today. We would look at what the earlier internet looked like. Next, we would see why the current internet is centralized. Then we would follow it by what are the disadvantages of the centralized internet, and finally we would check out how we can achieve the decentralization and some of the case studies of current decentralized internet systems, and finally we would look at the conclusion. So let's get into the first topic. In 1969, Advanced Research Project Agency Network were able to successfully establish a connection between UCLA and Stanford Research Institute, and they were able to send messages and communicate with each other. The main intent was of the American department was actually to establish a decentralized internet, which was more secure since every node was independent of each other and there was a peer-to-peer connection. But this extra dependency in today's world of the internet has paved the way for commercialization of this venture. That is, big tech companies have realized that they could earn money from this. Recently, internet has become the part of ordinary people's life. Society seems to be wired with an invisible wire, considering the rate at which information is being exchanged. Let it be through the social network, through the influencers, through content creators, or anything. People rely on the internet daily. This shows that the internet has shifted from being decentralized to centralized. However, the networking back is not difficult in the world of the standalone application. So let us now look at why the web is centralized. Let us take it with an example. Suppose there are two websites with almost similar content and many interested consumers who visit the sites equally. Both sites will try to bridge the gaps that the consumers think that they are losing their customers due to, and they will find the mutual interest that their consumers prefer. Once the topics are identified, the sites would then render their references and then making the consumers' interest readily available through the analysis of data through the site and what they share through the content from the client. So this is a kind of marketing approach that is typically preferred. So what this does is directs the traffic from all the websites to a particular website. The next point is the principle of net neutrality. So what the net neutrality prefers is that all the websites should be given equal opportunities by the service provider to compete for the consumers. But it has been mentioned quite a lot that these, whenever the consumer goes on the search engine and tries to search something, they most of the times end up on the tech giant site. So since they offer better quality and also sometimes the reception. Now let us look at disadvantages of centralized. So as we know, the centralized network is the main central hub, and there are clients which get a connection with it and access the data. But the main problem that we face with this, if by any reason or due to some things, the central network or the hub is corrupted, then we do not have access to our files and all the data is just gone. That is the main cause. The second reason that we have is centralized network scheme relates to access. That is, due to various reasons, we have to give access to the centralized network, and they have to be done with the same process. It may not be the case that every time we have to access, somebody has to be given access, then it is always the read only or the write only. There may be different types of accesses which may cause problem. So also the centralized network is easier to attack, as there is one central unit or maybe two central units, then they become easier to attack and it is quite easy to gain access over it. The next problem is that it is not safe from breach and do not guarantee privacy. Then, as we can see, it is easier to attack, so it may be breached and there is no guarantee of privacy. Now let us look at how decentralization is achieved. So the main things that are required in achieving the decentralization are the following three things. That is infrastructure, network topology, and the authority. So what is infrastructure about is maintaining the operations that are required, and that is providing the services that are required in designing the message routing and all those things. Next is the network topology, and that is how exactly our network would be laid. That is what topology that we would be implementing, like that is mesh, star, or all the things that would be included in that. And third thing is the authority. Authority means like if we have various nodes, what would be the permissions that we would be giving to them. So how that would say avoid distributing of the privacy and distributing of the information along with each of them. So let us take a look at each one of them. So first is the infrastructure. So we have basically three types of infrastructure, that is user-based, user-independent infrastructure, and the hybrid. The hybrid would consist of definitely the both, and in current system, mostly the hybrid systems are used as an infrastructure of the decentralized internet. Next, the network topology. There are various network topologies like mesh, authority topology, and the most famous one is distributed hash tables. If distributed hash tables and super nodes. If you want to check more about them, you can check in the references. I will be providing the PDF in the description. So, and the next is the authority. So, how would be giving them the permissions? They are the ad hoc, peer-to-peer, and social-based, and the federated. The most one that is used that I have seen in the implementation is the social-based. That is, we would be trusting the servers or the nodes which are kind of like friends of friends. If one server is friend of another, it is a kind of friended terminology. If one server is friend of another, then we give various permissions regarding accessing the data. Okay, so next we would see how decentralization supports the privacy. So the main thing that decentralization provides is privacy. So let us see how it supports the privacy. So the main two things that it helps in privacy is that confidentiality from the third party and confidentiality from the peers. So we need to go to the third party for various reasons, for using their services and all the things. But in this, we need to keep sure that the data that which we are providing is confidential and it is not used by anyone else, rather by third party, or whenever we use in decentralization, we have to contact the peers. So there too, it has to remain confidential. This happens with the help of the encryption. All the data that is being transferred is completely encrypted, and it cannot be accessed by anyone else, and they cannot use it. Next thing is anonymity. You might have heard of Tor. It is the best example of anonymity that decentralized internet provides. That is, if suppose we are using a browser, then exactly our ISP also knows, and even the site which we go, they can exactly pinpoint the location from where the access has been made to their site. But when we talk of Tor or all other implementations, then the user or the ISP cannot pinpoint from where the request has been made, or we can be completely anonymous while using it. So deniability, it enables subject to safely and believably deny having originated an action, so as to shield from the responsibility associated to performing such action. So what this actually does is, this fact that actions cannot be linked back to the user equips user with the freedom of performing action without the fear of retaliation. So next is the coverdness. So what coverdness is, that some systems even protect the users from the act of participating node in the decentralized network. That as if we say an undercover agent. So other observers do not know if a particular node is participating in the act of decentralization or all those things. So now let us look at the advantages of decentralization. So the first is flexible trust models, that is distributed trust. So what we have here is, as the power is distributed in various points, then even if one of the node or center acts maliciously, and even if it is taken down, then there is no damage caused to the overall system. So it is kind of distributed. So there is second thing. So there is no natural central authority as mentioned, and also leveraging existing trust networks. So if there are various networks and we do personally trust some of the networks, then we can take those networks and divide the risk of giving all the networks to all the malicious or the networks which we don't know typically. So next thing is distributed allocation of resources assists with ease of deployment. So as there is resource distribution, and this helps in deployment purpose hugely. Next is the location diversity. As the points are distributed, we can bypass the censorship of by legally or by some of the governments, which causes problems. Next is survivability. That is, even if something is taken down, the robustness of the complete system increases. Next is separation of development and operations. As we can clearly see, the development and operations are separated from each other. And also we can verify the integrity publicly, as they can be accessed from anywhere or from any node. Okay, so now let us look at the analysis of some of the decentralized systems. Some of them, what we will be covering is social networking systems, the interplanetary file system, secure scuttlebutt, Internet of Things, BitTorrent, and the DAT hypercore or Beaker. That we will be not covering in this set. So let us look at the first system, that is social networking system. So by using the decentralized internet, what would happen is that users would not be bound to particular social networking service. So like if we say we have friends on various different social services like say Facebook, Instagram, and some of the friends are like say they are on Instagram but they are not on Facebook, they are on WhatsApp but they are not on Telegram. So we would not be requiring that to a particular social networking service. So what this can provide is even higher level of interaction, that we can directly bridge multiple social networking system only with various systems like Facebook, Telegram, Instagram, all this with single thing, and we can use all of them. So also one of the main important thing is that we are using open technologies such as linked data, semantic web technologies, and single sign-on identity system and access control. Also the URIs are identified to allow the decentralized framework to be distributed. So the example of social networking systems that are decentralized are Matrix or XMPP, which you can check it on the website. So the next is interplanetary file system, also known as IPFS. So the main thing this provides is file sharing option, that is we can store the data so that it is never lost. It is combination of implementation of Git, BitTorrent, and Hashtags. Next we have is SSB, which is also a kind of distributed social network, but the main fascinating thing that this provides is that it can function offline. So every node in it is known as Scuttleverse, and also it is implemented on the basis of Git, that is distributed version control system. Also it allows users to discover other on the same local network. Next we have the Internet of Things. So one of the main basic implementation of Internet of Things in decentralization is IoTX, which is blockchain solution which provides Internet of Things in customizable network environment. So the main aim is that privacy within the blockchain, which happens to be in most of the crypto companies. So in this there is managed implementation of root chain. As you can see, there are 2 layers of chains: tokens, app, businesses, and that would be launched. So the next implementation of decentralization is the BitTorrent. Most of you would have used either uTorrent, BitTorrent, or some of the torrent client. So these also provide peer-to-peer file sharing, and what it does is it takes up the data and splits up into various pieces, and share it all over the network. So even if the first user who has uploaded the data is offline, it can be accessed from the various other users. BitTorrent also provides adequate mirroring. So BitTorrent also has various steps, like initially it has one seeder, then they become two seeders and some of the leechers, then become many seeders and many leechers, then it grows down, it degrades to few seeders and few leechers, and there is a death of the torrent. So now, what should we take away from this? So our analysis points out the sum of fundamental trade-offs between availability, privacy, integrity in the decentralized system. For some people, that may be a decentralized system, may be very good, or for some of the other people who have different usages, may be very bad for them. So let me know in the comment section below which internet you would prefer, that is decentralized or centralized. Also, if you want to further dive deep in the topic, I have given the references which would be in the comment section below if you want to do further researches. And if you have any question, feel free to comment below, or you can also ping me on my email or call me. Thanks for watching.